guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a bonus video. I'm going to be reacting to Midnights. I know it's been a hot second since the album came out, but I really wanted some time to digest everything and think about it and get a really strong analysis for the album to share with you guys. First off, I want to say I've been a huge Swiftie my whole life. I've seen Taylor live at every single world tour that she's been on. And I have to say that I was pretty disappointed with how this tour was handled with Ticketmaster, with kind of them saying they weren't doing dynamic pricing, but then they did it, and you know, the scarcity of tickets and all of that. I think both Taylor Swift and Ticketmaster need to take accountability for the situation. I'm glad Taylor Swift did apologize, but it was a little bit late if you ask me. And so yeah, the whole situation is disappointing to me. I did end up getting tickets to Pittsburgh. It's a little bit easier, I think, in a smaller market like Pittsburgh to get tickets. However, I'm literally sitting in the nosebleeds. I've never sat so far away for literally any concert that I've ever been to, regardless of the artist. So that was disappointing, but I am lucky to be going. But just the whole situation was just not great. So I just want to say my thoughts are with everyone that didn't get tickets. But I don't want to talk about all of that scandal in this video. I want to react to the music, the things that I love. I love this album. It really surpassed all of my expectations, and I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts and feelings about each song. So grab some hot cocoa, grab an iced coffee, grab a glass of wine, and let's jump into this week's video. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, I would love it if you subscribed. I do a lot of different types of videos on this channel. You know, I travel a ton. I make travel vlogs about Chicago, Nashville, Los Angeles. I also review beauty products or just any products in general, like the Stanley Cup. And I vlog my work days. I also sometimes react to art, such as Taylor Swift's music or Bruce Springsteen's music. So really all over the place here on this channel, but I would love it if you subscribed and gave this video a big thumbs up. So the first song is Lavender Haze, and I love Lavender Haze. I think it would have made a great choice as a single. It's very vibey, very pop perfection, but it's Taylor Swift, so it runs deeper than just a pop song. I really like the line, "All they keep asking me is if I'm gonna be your bride. The only kind of girl they see is a one night or a wife." And I think that's really interesting. I think Taylor Swift is really embracing her feminism on this album, which I'm glad for, because I feel like Taylor Swift is the kind of girl that puts her career first, no matter how much she sings about being in love. So I'm glad that she's like embracing and admitting that on this album. I think the song is very cohesive. It's kind of this cohesive theme about, apparently this term originated in the 1950s, a lavender haze, and that's about being totally in love, totally enamored with someone. And I feel that throughout all of the lyrics, and it's kind of interesting because Taylor does do a little spin on it when she references the 1950s shit they want from her. So it's very interesting, but I think it's cohesive, and I think the sound is fire, and I think it was a really strong song to start off the album with. The next song is Maroon, which is like the grown-up Red. I think it's very reflective of a relationship you might have in your early 20s, being in your first apartment. And really, the writing in this song is beautiful. It's very beautifully written, intricate details. We can picture this scene extensively. "When the morning came, we were cleaning incense off your vinyl shelf." I really like that because it starts with action and we can instantly picture this scene. The scene is also involves a lot of movement. You know, they're cleaning the incense off the shelf, and I really like that. A lot of artists don't use those kinds of techniques within their songs. "How do we end up on the floor, you say? Your roommate's cheap-ass screw-top rosé." Love that. Great rhyme. Now we have Antihero, and this is kind of where the album gets dark. There's a lot of darkness on this album, which I really like. I like that she's exploring this deeper dark theme. In my opinion, the theme of the album is Taylor's loss of idealism. She touches on very sensitive subjects in this song. She touches on body image, depression, you know, of course the line about the sexy baby, and I think that's really interesting that it's caused so much controversy between like millennials and Gen Z. I totally get that line, And I do feel like it's written from the perspective of like a taller girl, someone like thinking they need to take up less space with their body because they're tall. And as someone that's also tall, I find it very kind of relatable, especially like from a high school perspective. Not so much now, but I would say like as a high schooler, I could definitely relate to that line. The song is really expertly written, quick paced, lots of intense emotion in this song. And then it climaxes to this part, which I was like shocked when I heard it for the first time. I have this dream, my daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them in the will. It's like, oh my God. Like, Taylor, I can't believe you just said that. But my favorite line in the song is, I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. I also like how this song kind of references this antagonist, tale as old as time, and this more literary element within the song. I think it kind of goes back to her roots when she wrote a lot about fairy tales and had a lot of like literature influence. And I think that's interesting that she kind of, you know, created this cynical, upset, super emotionally charged song, but then she pulls in a line, tale as old as time. I'm honestly shocked she chose that as the radio single. I feel like, to me, it doesn't seem like a radio single, but at the same time, it does work. But if I was executing the album, I don't think I would have considered that as a radio single. The next song is Snow on the Beach featuring Lana Del Rey. Originally, I didn't really love this song, but it's grown on me. I love how you can like feel that you're at the beach and you can like really picture the snow coming down. And that's because of the technique that Taylor uses whenever she says it's coming down all around. And you can just like picture that. Like, I think about whenever it's snowing here in Pennsylvania and it's like nighttime and you just kind of look outside and the world is quiet, covered by this like blanket of snow. And I get this like eerie sensation of that whenever I listen to this song, except for, of course, it's on the beach. So it's a little bit more twisted, a little bit darker. And I think this song has a lot of what traditional Taylor Swift fans want, like this sort of very romantic and, you know, idealized scene. But Taylor kind of does a little twist on it. She makes it a little more grown up, a little bit more her style now, and throws in some F-bombs, but I think it all works out in the end. I really think this song actually grew on me, and now it's, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites on the album, but I do really like it. Next we have You're on Your Own Kid, which is my second favorite song on the album. I think I cried the first time I listened to this song. It's incredible. It reminds me of Bruce Springsteen's Growing Up. It's kind of this like chasing melody that progresses more and more, and she just crams a lot of great wordsmithing into this song that I think a lot of pop artists, a lot of rock stars can't do, and that's a lot of why it reminds me of Growing Up, as well as this theme of like getting older and what you've learned. I love the beat drop on the second verse, and this really, I think, again, goes back to that image of Taylor losing her idealism or her identity or even her life, which is something I want to touch on in a little bit. But she sings, I gave my blood, sweat, and tears for this. I hosted parties, I starved my bodies like I'd be saved by the perfect kiss. And really, to me, that's like, you know, it really harkens back to, I think, like the Fearless album and her debut album, whenever she's always talking about these like fairy tales and these guys saving her. And now all of that's kind of broken to her. So it's pretty sad to me, but again, there's this image too, I think, of like life versus death when she refers to the blood-soaked gown. So whether it's the death of idealism, the death of the persona of the old Taylor, or like an actual attempt, I don't know, but there's definitely that imagery throughout this album. Next, there's Midnight Rain. It's very clubby, very vibey. I hope she releases this to the radio because I feel like this song would do well. It's a shorter song, so I feel like it's made for radio. But we'll see if she releases it or not. I do wish it was a little longer. That's my only critique. And again, I love how she's like admitting that she is a feminist, that she puts her career first. She's a career girly. No matter how much she sings about the guy saving her, Taylor Swift can save herself. Let's be clear. You don't make it this far in a profession like singing or songwriting if you don't give it all, if you don't give your all time and time again to your career. He wanted a bride. I was making my own name, chasing that fame. Love that. Me personally, I can't relate to women that just are like, I want to change my last name. I don't get it. I feel like it's hard whenever you know your identity so much to want to lose that and absorb someone else's identity, and that's really confusing to me. And I think that some people will get this lyric and side with it, and some people won't. I get it and I relate to it. Next, there's question mark. I like the ambiguity of this song. Some people say it's about Karlie Kloss. I try not to speculate too much about who it's about, but I feel like it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense if you listen to the lyrics. And I like how it's like short, and it really perfectly captures the essence of being in a situationship and kind of not knowing what's up. Next, we have Vigilante Shit. This song is so intense, it blew my mind. The whole line, whenever she's like, and she's driving in your Benz, and she looks so pretty driving in your Benz, like that line makes me feral inside. It does something to me. I'm like, yes. I just can't wait to be singing this song at the concert. You know, Reputation was kind of like a Twilight Revenge album. This album is like a Midnight Revenge. I also love the line, I don't dress for men, I don't dress for women. Lately, I've been dressing for revenge. This song really oozes confidence, sexiness, darkness, and I love it. I'm all about this song. Then we have Bejeweled. This is probably my third favorite song on the album. I really like it. I feel like it sounds like a more grown-up version of This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. It kind of has that similar poppy sound to it, which I really like, but the lyrics are more grown-up and better executed. My prediction is this song is going to be the first song of the concert. I can just picture Taylor being all dramatic and pausing and being like, I miss you, but I miss sparkling, and just like tilting to the side and like holding her head up. And if you've been to a Taylor Swift concert, you know what I mean. It's definitely a song that you listen to with your best friends before going out. It's like a rebound kind of song, and I love it. I will also put a prediction of the set list on screen here. That's just my prediction, or my hopeful prediction, maybe hopeful minus Shake It Off. I don't really want to hear that song, but I feel like she's gonna play it. I have no idea what to expect, but that's just my prediction, and we'll see how many of those are right and wrong. Next we have Labyrinth. This is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's just kind of meh. It's a skip to me. It's too slow. The lyrics really aren't that good. The only lyric I really like is, I thought the plane was going down, how'd you turn it right around? I think it's interesting because a lot of times artists will use certain words or certain images over and over again on albums, and I think on this album a lot of the images are plane, flight, and bride. But other than that, this song doesn't really do much for me. Uh-oh, I'm falling in love again. That line is just telling, and she repeats it so much throughout the song. Then we have Karma. To be honest, I expected more from Karma whenever she released the track list. I thought Karma was going to be more like Vigilante Shit, but to me, Karma just is kind of like the song. It's not as meh as Labyrinth, but it just doesn't take me to the places that Vigilante Shit takes me. It's like Taylor kind of reaching for things. You keep comparing random things to Karma, like Acrobat, God, Breeze, and it just doesn't work for me. It's like reaching a little bit too much. I feel like she wanted to make this song like more like simpler and more radio friendly, but as a result I think it came across as being unoriginal. Next we have Sweet Nothing. This is kind of another like song for me. I feel like there's a lot of really big emotions in this song, but I don't think that the chorus and the verses quite line up and quite pull together. I feel like I don't really know what this song means, because on one hand she's talking about going home, writing a poem, and the guy is complimenting her, oh what a mind, and then in the chorus she's saying like the world is ending and I want to come home to your sweet nothing. And so to me it's just like two different things, and I don't really get how they connect. Next we have Mastermind. I think this is a strong song on the album, not one of my not like my absolute favorite song, but it's a good song. And I think that Taylor is exploring her childhood trauma a little bit on this song, whenever she sings, I'm only cryptic and Machiavellian because I care. No one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming ever since. So to me it makes sense. It either explains her childhood trauma or if you maybe aren't a Taylor Swift fan, maybe you're convinced she's a narcissist. My favorite line from the song is, I laid the groundwork and then just like clockwork, the dominoes cascaded in a line. Next, let's talk about the bonus song that's only on the Target CD. This is my favorite song of the entire album. I love this song. It sounds like, you know, kind of that 2010, early 2000s pop perfection. It could easily be on the Red album in my opinion. This song is just filled with emotion, it's filled with action, it's filled with great metaphors. It has a great sound. It's everything that I crave in a song. Love the climax. Freedom felt like summer then on the coast. Now the sun burns my heart and the sand hurts my feelings. And I never don't cry. Yeah, my sadness is contagious. I slur your name till someone puts me in a car. I stopped receiving invitations. A lot of darkness, great rhyming, great metaphors. Then we build. Actually, I think this is more the climax, not what I said before. But I heard your key turn in the door. Is that your key in the door? Or have they come to take me away? I feel like it's this full circle picture of a relationship from start to end, and it kind of like mimics life. And I think it's just an incredible song. Love it. Then we have The Great War. This was kind of interesting to me to see Taylor write about World War I. I don't really get why this is on this album and not, let's say, Evermore or Folklore. So maybe it was like a cut from one of those albums. I think it's a good song. I'm just kind of confused why it's on this album. Then we have Bigger Than the Whole Sky. A lot of people think it's about a miscarriage. I probably agree. It's a pretty sad song and I kind of wish I never heard it. So I'm not going to analyze it further because it's too sad. Then we have Paris. I feel like Taylor kind of always rips a little bit off of like a concept or another song on the albums. I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard not to as an artist. You know, you can only recreate so much, so I get it. But I feel like on the Speak Now album, Dear John is kind of like a ripoff of the Nicholas Sparks novel, Dear John. And then this song, Paris, kind of reminds me of that song by the Chainsmokers that was popular a couple years ago, Paris. But I do like this song. My favorite line is, we stumble down pretend alleyways, cheap wine, make believe it's champagne. But it's still the same kind of like concept of being in Paris and sneaking away from your parents and sort of being in this relationship and suddenly everything's okay because you're pretending or you're in Paris. So I feel like that's kind of similar theme, similar idea to what the Chainsmokers wrote about in their song. And I feel like that's more of, not the issue I have with it, but that's more of the point I'm making. Because yeah, of course, so many different artists have songs called Paris, but it's just like this sort of similar feel this song has to that song by the Chainsmokers. Then we have High Infidelity. This is another one of my favorites. Gives me Evermore vibes. You know, there's many different ways you can kill the one you love. The slowest way is never giving them enough love. Do you really want to know where I was April 29th? Do I really have to tell you how you brought me back to life? Again, the first time I heard the song, I definitely thought she like unalived herself that day, because that is really, really extreme wording if you ask me from like an objective sense. And I know a lot of people are pulling up the pictures of like Calvin Harris and like maybe alluding to that relationship, and that may be true. I'm just speculating, but I just don't understand, like from an objective like writing artist sense, why you would use that severe wording, like he brought me back to life, if it wasn't about being like actually revived. Because I feel like if it was about like your dreams or the old Taylor or persona, it would be more like my soul or my hope or my music or something like a little bit less severe. Taylor, I'm a little concerned about you. Like I hope that's not true, but I also feel like sometimes Taylor clues us in on her personal life like years before she admits things, but she clues us in on her personal life through her music. And I think some examples of that are, I always thought on the debut album, the Tied Together with a Smile was about her eating disorder. Like I always thought that. I know she said like it was about a friend, but I always kind of thought like that might be about you, Taylor. And then, you know, obviously in the Miss Americana documentary, she revealed that she struggled with an eating disorder. So I don't know if it's something like that or not, but I think sometimes her music does clue us in on her personal life, like well before she admits that to the press. I hope it's not the case, but that's just kind of what I think when I hear that song. Then we have Glitch. I like Glitch. I've only listened to it a couple times. It's a good song. Not too complicated, nothing too much to analyze, but a solid song. Would've, could've, should've. Again, I haven't listened to this song a ton because of the bonus tracks, but I feel like this song does also give me Evermore vibes, in particular Right Where You Left Me, and I also kind of wonder if this was an Evermore cut. I do think it's probably about John Mayer because of the 19 line, and also the imagery about the tomb won't close. I do think that's also a lot of imagery that was on both Evermore and Red TV. Finally, we have Dear Reader. Each album Taylor kind of ends it or has one song that's a lesson to her listeners. For example, on Lover it was Daylight, on Fearless it was Change, and on this album it's definitely Dear Reader, and it's a concerning, sad song. It says, you know, never take advice from someone who's falling apart. My fourth drink in my hand, the desperate prayers of a cursed man. That's like pretty dark, and I feel like she's saying, like, don't listen to what I'm saying about revenge or about being the anti-hero. Like, I'm not in a good place to be listening to my advice on relationships, on dealing with people, on whatever it is. So it's a pretty dark song, and I think the album is overall a pretty dark album. It's really good. I love the sound of it. I think Jack Antonoff did a great job producing it, and I've been listening to the whole album like non-stop. So for me, it's definitely like probably one of my favorite albums. We'll see how it holds up over the test of time, but a lot of really great songs from this. I hope you found this analysis, you know, somewhat interesting or insightful. Let me know your thoughts. What is your favorite song on Midnights? And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!